Life. How are you? Austria's finest Karin Gatternegg. You're doing well, I'm assuming. You look good. You look refreshed. You had some time where you went and took care of yourself, which is an important thing to do, correct?
Absolutely.
And you received some well-deserved relaxation and beauty treatments. And
Yes.
I need to do that. I need some beauty treatments. And I look in the mirror, I think, oh my God, I'm not so beautiful anymore.
Yes, you are, Lee.
Once you,
No.
once you hit a certain age, it just starts kind of going downhill. I think it's
Yeah, but it's good to take some days off and just refresh body and mind.
and it kind of leads into the topic that we have today too, of receiving, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're not in a good mindset, it's very difficult to receive anyway. Right? So, hi, Deborah Emberly. Haven't seen you in a while. Actually, she's visiting us here. I know Deborah from quite a long time ago now. I think she's I believe you're still out in Alberta, or was it Saskatchewan? Sorry, one of the two.
Oh,
But she used to.
Alberta.
I knew Deborah from when I was living near Toronto, which I have a feeling I will be back there. So maybe Deborah will be back there as well. You never know, right? So hi, Deborah. Good afternoon, Car. Oh, that's probably her again. I would imagine she's saying good afternoon to both of us, in case you can't see it.
Good
Anyhow,
afternoon. Hi, Deborah.
we're continuing here with Raymond Hollowell's book, Working with the Law. It's an incredible book. This particular chapter is the law of receiving, and Deborah is in Saskatchewan. Thank you for that, Deborah. This, one of the things that I want to point out with this is he often refers to Christianity when he's in his what he's talking about here. Although there's nothing religious about the book. He's simply using it as references of things that Christ might have said that is a reference to what he's talking about here. And I found that myself, like that. There's again, I'm all for if you are, follow a religion and it makes you happy and enhances your life in some way. I highly recommend to keep doing that. And I do find that a lot of things that are in not only in Christianity, but in a lot of different religions, there's a lot of great information there. So, when he's talking about Christ, which we're going to get into very shortly, it's only a brief part, but he's referencing Christianity. So again, I wouldn't, if you're against religions in some way, which, that's up to you, don't take offense because it's not about religion. So anyhow, so we're talking about the law of receiving, which I think is a very, very important law to try to understand. I would imagine you agree with me on that one there, Karin?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you said before, it's so important to read it over and over again, to repeat it as often as possible.
Yeah.
Because every time when you go through this informations, you're going to feel the transformation and how your mindset is changing.
Yeah.
Your consciousness, you come to a total different level of consciousness. And the first time I read it, I read it, but now it's different. Yeah. Every time I read it, the information I see it from another perspective, and it's good to repeat it often.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as you can. Take notes, cut pieces out, take notes, do whatever you have to do. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Because, we you have to realize that, when you first look at something, you're looking at it from a perspective of what you have been conditioned to see the world as.
Yeah.
So you don't often necessarily see all the little intricate parts of it, but you will the second time and definitely the third and fourth and fifth and things like that. And I remember, even following Bob Proctor that, like, especially with Think and Grow Rich, he did it with everything that he studied, but, with Think and Grow Rich, like he got to the point where he has had the entire book memorized. And you could ask him about anything in that book and he could tell you exactly what it says. Now think about that's an entire book that he had studied over and over and over and over again. So you're absolutely right when you're saying that it's important to keep going over this. So how about we go over it at least once here for whoever's following us. And again, if you're following us and you would like to say hello and also tell us your name because the system doesn't tell us your name, unfortunately. So anyways, he starts out by saying, understanding reduces the greatest to simplicity, and lack of it causes the least to take on the magnitude of complexity. That's a little bit of a complicated statement, and now we've spent too much time trying to explain it, so I'm not going to. So this is where he references Christianity. He says, in order to make Christianity practical, we must understand Christianity and obey the law on which it is founded. The teaching of Christ shows the way back from wrong results of selfish living to the love, intelligence, and power of God. By a man's word, deeds, and action, he reveals whether he has yet found the way. God exists in man as man's highest concept of perfection and comes forth through a man's faith and works as a redeeming love, intelligence, and power. Now he goes on to this part here where I actually highlighted, so he who seeks a greater life with getting as his objective does not seek life in trueness of spirit. You see that all the time, even like the saying, the love of money is a sin, whereas money's not, but the love of it is. And that's you're seeking a greater life with getting rather than actually following the trueness of the spirit. So to the extent and so long as any material object remains between the mind of the seeker and the law of God, the two are held apart and do not become one. In the same degree that a man holds to personal opinion and desire, he is limited in knowing and experiencing the limitless authority and power endowed him by his creator. And he goes on to say, in a state of limited understanding, we reason that we must get before we can give, right? And then we turn and walk in the same mental rut as before by reasoning that we must give before we can get. But in our lack of understanding, we continue to leave the getting idea foremost in our thought, and we shut out the spirit of giving. So even the idea of saying, I must give before I get, you're still focusing on the getting. And that's something I've had this conversation many times. A lot of people, including I believe you too, Karin, is you provide service, you never really have to worry about the getting. Like if you're seriously trying to make a difference out there and you're providing service, the getting will come, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So many people, and that's what many clients ask me, how can I give when I have nothing?
Right.
And that's not true. That's the lack of understanding, because we have so much to give. We have so much value in providing services, or if it's just a smile,
Right.
small things, yeah, a helping hand or a nice word. Most of the people, they think about money. When they talk about giving and receiving, almost everybody's, the first thing they are thinking about is money.
Right.
And they say, okay, how can I give when I don't have money? But we can give so much value out to the world, and then everything comes back. And I think the people should know, and everybody should recognize that's all about the vibration.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, and just by saying hello or, smiling at somebody is going to raise their vibration. That's you giving, right? Like
Yeah.
I try my best to, I go for long walks a lot of time and I walk by people. I always say hello to everybody I walk by. And it's interesting because some people are very friendly and they say hello back, but other people are like, why is this guy talking to me? Like, what's he smiling at me for? Like, and the same thing at the grocery store. I go to the grocery store and I deliberately say hello to all the workers, because you can see them walking around, they're frowning and they don't want to be there. There's probably somebody that the only time people talk to them is when they're complaining about something.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with something, so they complain about it. I deliberately say hi. And the interesting thing is, anytime I go to the same grocery stores, I can see the same people will say hello to me.
Yeah.
Whereas they didn't before, right? They remember me, right? And again, that's got more to do with the giving. Like I'm raising their vibration by just simply saying hello. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. And when somebody tells you they don't have anything to give, you do.
Yeah.
A smile is giving, right? And
yeah.
That's the key. It's important. So what else we got here? To giving, which is the first or fundamental law of life, is the first law of all creation. The attitude of getting is the law of life in a congested state or in a repressed action. It goes on to say here, as long as getting dominates a mind, the mind is in a paralyzed condition, being limited in its action in accord with the fundamental law of creation. And he says here, the radio has aided greatly in explaining the process of the law of giving and receiving, or prayer and blessing. The principles involved are very similar. In fact, they are the same, except that one is mechanical and the other is mental. When the operator projects a program, it stirs up a vibration in the air that goes forth to accomplish what it will. He has nothing more to do with it after it has been projected. The ether, or the air, carries the vibration to any station that is capable of receiving and reproducing it. So here's the thing that's important about what he's saying there is when we pray, we in turn stir up a vibration with our desires, right? This also is received by a force determined according to the power, the purpose, and the sincerity of our prayer. Often when we pray, we think that all that is necessary is to keep on praying, with the result that we never adjust ourselves to become receptive to receive our answers, and so complain when we do not get them properly. That's something that's important there is, I remember, discussing some stuff, like even again, we're talking about, he's talking about Christ a little bit here. When someone asks, how do we pray to God? And the answer was, God knows what's in your heart. It's not the word you say, it's what's in your heart. In other words, your heart being your subconscious mind. So it's the vibration you're in that God, the source, whatever you want to call it, is responding to. And again, that goes to the same thing as what you're talking about, vibration versus giving and getting. If your vibration is getting, then you're missing out on all the benefits and the wonderful things that are available, because you're not going to get. Like, the focus on getting is also, you have to realize that your vibration is in lack.
Yeah.
Right? You're missing something and you want it. And you think that if I just go and give something, then somehow I'll replace the lack. Well, the problem is, again, the vibration is lack.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're going to keep getting more lack. You're not going to get the abundance that you're looking for, right? So
that's with everything. When people are in the vibration of I need something to be happy, no matter what it is, right? Money, house, car, a partner, a soulmate, whatever, a job, or friends. So everything you say, I need it, that I'm more happy and more blessed than you are in the need of having this, and this is lack, always.
And the sad part is, you're like you're saying that, if they think that their happiness is tied to getting something. Yeah. Well, you're not going to get it. And just mean all you're doing is now setting yourself up for more unhappiness. Yeah. And again, like, I was talking about the people at the grocery store. Yes, I'm increasing their vibration and hopefully making them happy. But you know what? It makes me happy. Like, I'm happy when I walk in there and I see the odd person that'll look at me and smile. I even get people that'll wave to me. Like, people that work there. Yeah. I don't know them. I don't even know their names. I've never had a conversation with them. All I've ever done was smile and said hello. That's it. Right. And I highly recommend trying it. So anyways, he goes on to say here, when we pray, we in turn stir up a vibration with our desires. This also is received by a force determined according to the power, the purpose, and the sincerity of our prayer. Often when we pray, we think that all that is necessary is to keep on praying, with the results that we will never adjust ourselves to become receptive to receive our answers. Right? And that's the problem, right? And so we end up complaining we do not get the things that we're looking for promptly. And then he goes on again, said a dreamer or a wisher is one who is continually praying, sending out his ideas, his desires, and is so busy dreaming that he gets all his enjoyment out of his dreams. He doesn't know or realize that to realize his dream and allow it to go forth to accomplish what it will in time return to him for good. So what's lacking there is the faith, right? He's lacking faith. He's lacking that belief and expectation that it's all going to work out. And again, I always love the term ego, like ego being edging God out. Like that's you thinking you can control all of this. You can, but not by focusing on what you want. You set a goal of something you want, but you also be in that vibration of the faith, the belief, and the expectation that it's already yours. It's coming. You don't have to worry about it, right? And that's the thing, the worry that's going to cause the problems. But he goes on to say, after you form a definite, clear outline of your desire, then release your thought. Release your thought Godward. Let it go. Like throwing a ball out with no string or rubber attached to bring it back to you, right? Just let it go. And that's the thing. That's the key. That's the key to a lot of this, is you have to just have faith. Let it go, and it will come back. Man's eternal extremity is God's opportunity is true, for which man reaches his limit. He hopelessly stops his efforts. When he relaxes from his strain, the law has a chance to reply to his desires, and things begin to change for him. Have you not seen this work in trivial things such as books or clothing or invitations or a desire to see a certain friend? Possibly at some time you sent out a thought or a desire and then forgot completely about it. The next thing you know or knew, you had that book presented to you, you received that invitation, or you were walking down the street and bumped right into the friend that you so desired to meet. This happens all the time. Like I'm always running into people. I just ran into a guy I haven't seen in 15 years. And we were pretty good friends because he is an appraiser and I used to do mortgages and use his services all the time. But I haven't done that in a long time. So it was really, really great to see him. In fact, we're going to have coffee this week. But I was thinking about him. I thought about him not too long ago, and sure enough, he shows up. And turns out he actually only lives a few blocks from where I live. I didn't even know that. Right? So fascinating stuff. The next thing you knew, you had, okay, I already did that walking friend. Yeah. We fail to realize our desires and prayers as readily, and anxiety and tension holds everything fast. Nothing worthwhile is accomplished. The mind is like a sponge. We squeeze it hard with our anxious thoughts, but not until we can release that pressure and allow the sponge to take its normal shape can it become absorbent and receptive again. Now, once we have expressed our needs through prayer or otherwise, some believe that it is all we must do. On the contrary, we are working with the law that is definite and active, and this is only the beginning of our work. The principle of life upon which this law is based is clearly written. It reads, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over." Giving always precedes and predetermines the reception, whether you are giving your thought, your words, your services, or your deed. Thoughts? You gonna take over from here too? By the way, I think I got Karen written on here. That means you're gonna read it, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it. Yeah.
That's what it says.
That's what he says. Karen goes on. Yeah, and that's the big part. I think that's the biggest challenge for most of the people, to see the difference between sending out a wish, a goal, an intention, and then let it go. Most of the people, they think they have to think about the goal all the time, all day long. So what are they doing? They are sending out the wish, the prayer, however. They're sending out. They are always asking and asking and asking. But it's so important to come in the receiving mode, to be in a receptive state that the universe can deliver.
And will deliver.
Yeah, always, always. The question is only, where are we, or where are the people? Yeah, they want to receive, but they don't let the universe deliver, and that's a big step to understand. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay, so he goes on with some folks may consider this law as a two-way law. That is, half the time you should be busy giving, and the other half of your time you should be receiving. It is like the proposition of heat and cold. They are two sides to the same law. That is, if we concentrate upon cold and hope and pray to get heat, we are likely to freeze to death. What we must do is to give all our thought and effort toward building a fire or seeking that which will create heat to warm us. And that's it. If we always concentrate on both sides, it can't work.
It works, yeah.
Yeah. If we concentrate upon receiving, not giving any thought or idea or desire to build upon, we in like manner may perish. The law says it is more blessed to give than to receive. And as you freely give, you freely receive. Unless we are free to extend or give out our desire, our good, the law will not have any pattern to work with. It cannot proceed to supply any need without a pattern. Many try to work the law backwards, and for that reason get little or no results. And that's good. That's what I said before.
Yeah.
Most of the people say, okay, I want to be rich, so give me the money and then I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that, no?
No, that's backwards.
And even the giving part is, I'll only give once I'm rich.
Yeah. But they don't want to give. Yeah. They say to themselves, well, after I get, then I will give. If you wish any good thing, you must first give some good to build upon. So I have a good example always for my clients to give them an understanding of this law of receiving is if you're standing in front of a mirror and you're waiting that the picture, what you see in the mirror gives you a smile, you can wait very, very long. First, you have to smile, and then what you see in the mirror is going to smile back.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to smile more.
Yeah. Me? No.
Now, you always smile. I don't think you ever smile. You should probably sleep when you're smiling. Huh?
Yeah. But that's a beautiful when I go out to the groceries or whatever. I always come in contact with so many people.
Right.
Yeah, I always get a smile and nice conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the point where I can say life is beautiful. The world is a good place. Not everything is bad and awful.
It's basically how we decide to see it, right?
Yeah.
And the thing when you get, like you were saying, you get people smiling to you and you have nice conversations. Well, you're receiving, aren't you?
Absolutely.
You're receiving good.
Yeah.
And, sometimes that alone is worth more than money.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that if you keep having that, then you'll never be worrying about money.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. So he goes on. A young man gives his girlfriend a gift, a paste diamond. Later, when he got into financial difficulties, his friend, most anxious to help him to tide over, wrote a kindly note and wished him every success in meeting his obligations. She enclosed the gift he had given her and suggested that he sally to satisfy his need. The young man was sorry then that he had not given his friend a diamond of real worth. He got back at a time when he needed help most, that which he had given out, an imitation instead of the genuine. Mm-hmm. When we speak of giving, most people have a tendency to think first of giving them money. Money, an object of human affection, so passionate that man will slay and steal to gain its possession. It's by nature so obedient to our will that we can hold it gently in our hand or fold it fondly in our purse without feeling any resistance from its nature. With all the selfish getting ideas which man attaches to it, man has not changed its nature or its purpose. What does money get out of constantly giving itself into hands that so eagerly grabs it? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing beyond the joy of giving itself in the fulfillment of its mission. Many may do some terrible deed to obtain it. He may pay it for something detrimental to his progress. But in all these exchanges, man, not money, loses value. Just as the sun shines on the just and the unjust alike, so money passes through the deserving and an undeserving hand to accomplish its work. Its purpose is exchange without discrimination. Leaving the latter to the mind that is using it, money goes merrily on its way, losing nothing in self-value, in giving itself. Yeah, that's money. Yeah,
absolutely. And if even you think about people that spend all they think about is gaining money, often don't have happy lives. Like it's like I remember even hearing a story one time of a person that kind of lived as though they were in poverty, and when that person died, it turned out that that person left behind millions of dollars in savings. And this person was so caught up in collecting money and putting it aside, so you can look at a bank account and look how big the number was, that he lived in poverty, not happy, didn't have any family hanging around.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything, right? That's the problem.
So he goes on, when money came into form to fill the need for exchange, and on that purpose, it is all intent. Let our attitude toward it be what it may. Money will remain true to its nature as long as it is needed by its master, man. If we fail to pay full value in an exchange, we fail to understand the prospering law back of the idea. Money represents the law of services. Its value is the estimation of worth placed upon it by the mind of man, while its form is designed to ensure the easiest exchange. When we give our best in some useful service, forgetful of self, concentrating on the joy of giving instead of concentrating on the returns, we find that our purpose and the purpose of money have blended, and we come together in righteousness and eternal good. So often I hear people say, well, I do give, and sometimes until it hurts, but I seldom see any sign of a return. There is a right way and a wrong way to give. There is a careless, impulsive giving, and there is a careful, scientific giving. When we give to a person or group of persons where we are retarding progress, we are wasting our substance. Where we give to one who doesn't put forth the effort to help himself, we need not expect a good return.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's wonderful to understand that money is also just vibration. It's always the energy behind money, the energy behind giving.
Yeah.
So in what energy are you when you spend the money, and what are you spending your money for? Which energy is behind it? So money is energy, like every human being, like everything on this earth.
Yeah. And when you're talking about money too, like think about it, like a lot of cases it's just simply made out of paper.
Yeah.
Which on its face has no value.
Mm-hmm.
The value that it has is what we place upon it. It's what gets that exchange that he's talking about. Is you could take $100 bill and trade it for something that someone believes is worth $100.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the thing that that's the thing we have to realize is what we place upon it. what's it mean? The thing too, I want people to really understand here is that you can have anything you want. It's got nothing to do with, oh, you shouldn't want it. No, you should want it. But understand that you have to give in return something. And again, it can be service. We work with clients, we're providing a service, and yes, we get paid for it. That's okay. Same thing, if you have a job, you go to work every day and you trade your time for money. Whatever you decide you're doing, you're still providing a service and you're receiving money in return. That's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't have to even be about money. Like, you were talking about, running into people and smiling and having good conversations. Well, that's just as good as money in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
The feeling from that, what's that worth? I don't even know if you could put a value on it. Like, you can't buy that, but you can certainly earn it. And you earn it by being that same kind of a person, by smiling and talking to people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's
Carry
good
on,
to
sorry, Bethany.
understand.
Go ahead,
That's
sorry.
all vibration. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're still reading. According to my notes, you are.
Raymond Hollywell says Lee goes on.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What part's that say? Where does it say that? Mine's not.
Nature does not support a parasite or a loafer, but she gives her energy to the ones who are struggling forward.
Right.
She lets the parasite and the loafer see that she will help if they put forth the effort to help themselves. But with us, if we support the loafer in what he is in, how can we expect any good returns?
Very good. I think my pages are all messed up. Anyhow, I'm going to jump over where it says it's page 81. Do you have page 81 there?
81. Yeah.
Does that have your name on it, or does that have my name on it?
Yeah, this is my part. Jesus
Okay.
gave his
Carry on.
substance always where it would do the most good. He fed the multitude because they were seeking good, not because they were begging food. Nowhere do we find him giving as much as a thought to anyone except those who desired to improve and grow. He cautioned others about unwise giving. Do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and rend you. He meant simply, do not give your substance to anyone who cannot appreciate it or improve with it.
Yeah.
It is as foolish as giving a child a loaded gun and expecting him to realize the danger as you do. Sooner or later, the child, through lack of appreciation, will either hurt someone or get hurt, to the sorrow of all concerned. You cannot build something on nothing and expect something in return. If in your giving there is no principle of good in some measure, no matter how small, to add to, then you are casting your pearls away. You are wasting your substance. And this is so true. Such good words here.
Yeah, excellent. And it's definitely an important lesson. All of this is. Okay, so am I reading now? My pages are all messed up. I'm going to go by the one I sent you because that was the final one. Seems as though I didn't change mine.
Okay. So I take the next. He goes on here with this. Jesus praised and blessed the widow who gave her all her might into the church coffer, but criticized the rich man offering his bags of gold. Why do you suppose he took exception in this case to praise the lowly gift of the widow? He knew the law of giving was in action. He was the spirit of her gift that prompted his blessing. When John D. Rockefeller was a poor boy, he was able to apply the law early in his life. When he earned his first money, he kept a record of his givings and his receivings, and he kept a ledger all through life. It is known that he gave away more than $500 million. Possibly we can judge why he received so much to give.
Yeah.
Now, isn't this a wonderful story?
Yeah.
This,
You think
this
about
is
that's $500 million. This was written in 1939.
yeah,
A half
amazing.
billion dollars in 1939 was a tremendous amount of money, wasn't
Yeah,
it? And Rockefeller was one of the richest people in the world, or was at that particular time.
yeah, yeah. And he was working with the law, with the
Absolutely.
laws. Absolutely. He had really a great understanding.
Mhm. Somebody today that I think I keep watching is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
A lot of the things he's doing, like he's building things, creating things that are designed to provide service.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if there's a war going on in the Ukraine. Like he's got satellites above Ukraine, and that's how they're actually communicating. Because the infrastructure has been destroyed. The only way
Yeah.
they're actually communicating is because of these satellites that Elon Musk put above, right? And then even on the I don't know what he's planning on doing with Twitter, but his what he's saying is he wants to provide a service where people can speak their truth. And it's not going to be
Yeah.
something, right? So again, it's I think that there's another person right there that is living the law. And that's why he's the
Absolutely.
richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Interesting guy.
And he does so much good with his money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also when people criticize rich people that they have so much money, they do so much good with the money, most of them.
Not
And
all,
that's
but
different.
some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can do the same. I can name people right now that are billionaires that I don't think they're good people. It's all about them, right? And the sad part is we'll probably see them at some point. Something's going to go wrong because you can't go through this, live in this world in a negative vibration and expect to have positive things continue to happen. So
Yeah.
but there are some really good ones though, and those are the ones we want to admire and follow. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You'll be a multi-billionaire soon, won't you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
going to do nothing but good.
Yeah. I do all the best I can.
Will you, being that you're in Austria, can you buy me a brand new Mercedes when you get all this money?
Yes, of course. No problem.
Okay.
That's a sneaky beaky.
Focusing on
Okay.
getting. See, I'm focusing on getting. I shouldn't do that.
So he goes on, but after we give, that is not all we must do. Our next step is to prepare to receive the response or results of our giving and to receive, as the law states, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So, okay, I give you the Mercedes, and then I have to prepare myself for the receiving.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good with that one.
This is the most interesting part because our preparation shows our active faith.
Yeah.
Instead of rocking and waiting, we are preparing and working. This, in turn, enlarges our view. It stimulates our interest. It disperses our doubt and fear and energizes our power of reception. This was clearly illustrated by Eli, the prophet. When the three kings came to him and asked him to pray for them, that they would be victorious in battle and that they might have rain to supply the soldiers and animals. Elijah told the kings to go back to their camps and prepare for the morrow. Prepare to receive the water they asked for by digging ditches. Now, if you have ever been on the desert, you will know that it was a most foolish idea to dig ditches in the sand and expect rain to fall. But the kings did as they were told. They prepared for the rain by digging the ditches, and clouds gathered, and rain fell, and the ditches were filled. The men and their beasts were satisfied. Their thirst was quenched, and going into battle strengthens. They were victorious. Eli, knowing the law, instructed them to prepare and made the way easy for them to receive.
Yeah,
The
that's a good
key to
lesson.
the pardon?
That's a good lesson on faith and belief. Like, again, like who digs ditches in the desert? Right?
Yeah.
That's somebody that has a belief and expectation in their heart that it's going to actually come, right? And it,
Mhm.
and it did.
Yeah, to assume something is so important. Yeah, to expect it, to live it, and to be sure nothing can bring you away from this idea. And that's important for everything we want to receive.
That even goes into, we're talking a lot about receiving, things and money and stuff like that, but you're also, the same concept works with receiving ideas. You can have
Yeah.
a passion in your heart that I want to have something materialize, like a business or anything along those lines. And as long as you're willing to give, as long as you're willing to act, and you have faith in your heart, you're always going to be shown the path. That's receiving,
Always.
right? Again,
Always.
this is a lot about, we're talking about money here mostly, but the reality is the way to earning money will also be received if you have that faith. It could be anything. It could be even, finding good health, finding that relationship, those kind of things. And, it's amazing really what can come into your life if you allow it.
Yeah. Yeah, to allow it. It's also a big part. A good example is the necklace I have here now. I was looking for it. I lost it. I thought I lost it. And I was looking for it for weeks. And I moved to this new place in summer a few weeks ago. And I thought, okay, I have to find it. And I was looking everywhere. I looked into every single box. I looked everywhere and I thought it was gone. Okay. I said, I don't look anymore. I just asked the universe to just show me where it is. And then I didn't think about it anymore. And guess what? About 2-3 days later, I saw a box in my bedroom. I thought, oh, what's in here? And I opened it and here it is. So we always get the answer.
Yeah.
Always.
You just have to be open to receiving it, right?
Absolutely.
And that goes back into what you basically did was you let go and you let God.
Yeah.
And
That's
the key,
it.
right?
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes on with the key to the law then is we are conditionally drawing into life what we give and expect.
Yeah.
Whether we attract good or bad, it is governed by this same principle. You have probably made the remark, oh yes, it is just as I expected. And especially when some unpleasant condition or circumstance arose, you invited the condition just because you gave out the thought of expecting it. You can also expect good to appear on the same principle, and you can help it to come to pass by the method of your preparation. Many failures and in demonstrations are because we do not force our expectations to keep a pace with our desires. Very often we desire one thing and expect in our hearts another, which creates confusion. The master said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. When a mind is confused, there is no cooperation, nor is there a united force to attract the strength it requires. Positive mental radiations will drive away all clouds of doubt and fear with confident expectation that all things will work all right. You operate a law that can and will put matters right. There is a power within greater by far than any difficulty that you can ever meet. That power will never fail to see you through.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, like there's a few lines back to where he says we very often we desire one thing and expect in our hearts another, which creates confusion. We always do that. Like, it's I want this, this is my desire, but I'm not expecting really to get it. Like it's, that again, that comes a lot of times with money is, your desire is to have a certain income every month, but your expectation is you're always going to be focusing on not being able to pay your bills.
Hmm.
And that just causes confusion, and
Hmm.
nothing is gained from any of that, right?
Yeah, and this feeling in the heart is so dominant. What we think is just a beginning, but we have to feel it in our heart. And many clients ask me, why do I have to feel it that way? And it's so beautiful when we think about a baby, when a woman gets pregnant, the first organ you can see on the screen is, after 6 weeks, the heart. The heart first is created, and then the brain. So that's why we can trust the feeling in the heart.
Yeah, that's good. Never thought of that. I guess I'm reading it now, right?
Yes, now it's your turn.
Okay. You may ask, can I desire things not ready for me to have? Can I ask too much of the law? Does the law withhold things from me which are not for my good? True desire represents the urge of life seeking a fuller expression and is kept alive by continuous expectation of its fulfillment. It brings to us ways and means for its manifestation. The principle explains, no desire is felt until the supply is ready to appear. No mind can be conscious of a need or of a desire unless the possibility of its fulfillment exists. Your prayer, your desire, and your inner urge are like a magnet, and the stronger they are, the stronger the power of your magnet and the greater its attraction. Uh, you cannot ask too much of the law, for it is unlimited and the supply is inexhaustible. There's a lot of things that go on with that too, is people, they feel guilty about even asking.
Yeah.
Or, they don't feel worthy of receiving. These are all paradigms. These are all conditioned, the things that are conditioned into your subconscious. But the reality is like it says here, you cannot ask too much of the law, for it is unlimited and the supply is inexhaustible. It's okay to ask, right? So you can get only what
Absolutely.
you can conceive, right? And again, same thing. If you don't believe you can have it, you're not going to be able to conceive it. So you can only get what you can conceive, what you can understand. You can get only the equivalent of what you give. The law does not withhold any more than mathematics withholds its numbers. You may receive some things that appear not good, but yet good may come through them, like mistakes in mathematics. Whereas you make many mistakes, the mistakes enable you by their correction to better know the law. Right?
Yeah.
That's the key. Is there are no mistakes. They're just learning experiences. Right? So after you have made one or several corrections, you will never again repeat the same mistake. So in that way, the law has served you well and has supplied you with a greater knowledge. It goes on to say here, the Lord loveth a cheerful giver. The law seventh or servant. Oh, sorry. The law serveth a free and willing giver. Whatever you give it with a free and willing spirit. Give it out with no obligation or dictation attached. Then it will come back to you unburdened with obligation or restrictions of any form. He who gives much receives much. To give your best is to receive the best in ratio to the degree of your giving. The reason why so many people receive little is because they give out so little. They are poverty stricken because they refuse to give. Whatever the nature of your possessions, give and give abundantly. You are to give of your life, interest, energy, thought, ability, love, appreciation, and helpfulness. In giving of your life, thought, and love, in doing gladly and well, whatever you may be called upon to do, you express your best. And the more you give, the more you receive. This does not mean that you are to give to the selfish and thoughtless, but to so order your life as to make a full and proper use of your energies, faculties, and talents in useful living. If today your abilities are small and your powers insignificant, begin now to make a more thorough use of them, and they will grow. And I see that I made it so that you get to finish everything off here.
Yeah.
Sound good?
So, but that's exactly what we are talking about at the beginning. Yeah, we can give. It's not all about money and all about the things we can see and touch and taste and hear and smell. There's so many things we have to give. A good thought, a good feeling, appreciation, love, helpfulness. So there are so many people out there.
Yeah,
and it's always when we give it in a good vibration, it comes back a multiple time. Yeah.
And something along those lines too about vibration, it's very important to be grateful for what you receive.
Yeah.
Gratitude puts you in a really great vibration, and the more you're grateful, the more you're going to receive things to be grateful for. Right?
Yeah.
So, the giving and the gratitude are really important, and if you can live your life that way, I know it's not easy, but if you can, you get to the point where you're constantly giving without any holding back of anything, and you're grateful for everything you receive, you're going to have a pretty wonderful life.
Yes.
It takes work. It's we live in a world that I don't think it really wants you to be happy that much, especially if you turn the TV on, news or anything like that. But the reality is no matter what's going on in this world, you can have a really happy, loving, prosperous life if you follow this beautiful, wonderful information that Raymond Hollowell is presenting here. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't have to focus on the circumstances all the time. So sometimes, okay, we get some informations. They are not so wonderful and beautiful, but it's always a question of our attitude and how much attention we give to these topics.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
it. Yeah. So he goes on with recall the story of the master and his servants, to whom he gave each a talent, some 2, some 3, and others more, and from whom he expected a harvest according to their respective endowments. There was greater joy in heaven over him who had but 1 talent and used it well, than over him who had many talents but failed to employ them in useful service. Hence the servant with 1 talent took the higher place. In other words, the individual who makes full use of what he has shall be blessed with more and more, for in what measure you meet, it shall be measured unto thee again. That is the path of increase. That is the secret of the law of receiving.
Right. Got to use the gifts you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
So
Skip the paragraph. We'll just go to the last paragraph there, and then the last. Right. Just go to like a poem on the back. Huh?
Yeah, you have the next one, and I read the last one.
Okay. Whatever you desire in the way of health, success, happiness, riches, or power, start towards it. Start it on its way by this procedure. The law works. The results are sure because a natural principle is involved. You may proceed without doubt or fear to desire and to expect all the good that you can realize, use, and enjoy. When the mind of man becomes unselfish to the point of yielding the law, man has been born anew, for his attitude towards the law, himself, and his fellow man has changed, and his affairs take on the character of his newness of thought. Positive stuff, right? And that's the key too. You have to move forward without doubt or fear.
Yeah,
That's the key, is you have to have that faith and belief and expectation in your heart, and you will draw whatever it is that you're looking for into your life.
absolutely. And it's also so important to have joy in everything we do. We have joy and have the satisfaction and yeah, the happiness when we do something. Then it comes back. Yeah. Giving. This is a poem from Arthur William Beer.
Hmm.
And it says, to get he had tried, yet his store was still meager. To a wise man he cried in a voice keen and eager, pray that me how I may successfully live. And the wise man replied, to get you must give. As to giving he said, what have I to give? I've scarce enough bread, and of course one must live. But I would partake of life's bountiful store. Came the wise man's response, then you must give more. The lesson he learned to get was forgotten. Toward mankind he turned with a love new begotten. As he gave of himself in unselfish living, then joy crowned his days, for he grew rich in giving.
Yeah, good poem, right? Fantastic.
Absolutely.
This is really I think, a fantastic lesson. I think actually every chapter in this book, all the laws are really great lessons. Uh, but I think this is really, the whole idea of receiving and understanding that is so important, because we live in an abundant world. There is no shortage of anything. And again, like, I always suggest that it's not a good idea to watch the news and things like that, because they have an agenda that's may or may not in your best interest, but they're always wanting to focus on what's wrong. And it's very difficult to really live the life you want to live if you're simply focusing on what's wrong or could be wrong. And you're also, if you're worried, like, you keep hearing things of there's a recession coming and there's this and this is happening. And the reality is, if you expect things to go wrong, they're going to. And if you don't expect things to go wrong and you just keep giving the best you can with whatever you've got, and again, it doesn't have to be money. It could be that smile. It could
Yeah.
be, just anything to lift a person in some way. You're going to find that no matter what's going on in this world, you're going to come out of it well. So those are things, again, like you said earlier too, Karen, that this is something you want to read it a few times. Just
Yeah.
really try to understand the whole law of receiving. There's so many people in this world that are lacking when there is absolutely no need for it. That's because they're focusing on what's wrong, and they don't have that faith and belief in their heart. But you can gain it. And I can tell you too that, by simply just try giving, and again, even if it's just a smile, you're going to start to see your whole world change. You're going to start
Yeah.
to see a lot of things coming to you, like opportunities. And even like, you were talking about, having great conversations. Like if you're in the business world, that can lead to business. Like I keep running into people that I haven't even seen in quite a long time. And, obviously the conversations are, what do you do? Well, then I start telling what I do. And it's, again, I usually try to take that conversation and turn it into something where I'm providing a service to them. Like I usually say, well, is there something going on in your world that you'd like to see change? And I try to help them. I'll have a coffee, do things like that. And then guess what? I get more clients, right? And again, even the clients are receiving. Like I do
Yeah.
everything I can to make sure that they're getting more than they're paying for. Again, it's all, a matter of understanding value. But in my mind, and I'm pretty convinced that most of the people I work with, I think all of them, I hope, believe that they're getting more value than they pay for. And I know that your clients are the same way with you. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They see the value they have. People, they really want to work with me. They don't think about what it costs or how much it is if I work with them for weeks or months, because they know exactly the value. of the outcome. They know what results they expect, and they know what they are capable of doing after this time we have together.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful, because what's happening, even if we spend someone a smile, they feel better, and I feel better, and we know it's the thoughts we are sending out to the universe, the wish and the vibration and the goals and everything, and the emotions we feel. With the emotions we draw everything to us, and this is the law of receiving.
Yeah, something I was just thinking of, like, I know that you work with horses, and I don't know how it all works because I haven't had the opportunity to be there physically with you and have you explain it to me, but I have a good understanding. But the horses respond to the vibration you're in. Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so even in a situation like that, the horse is doing some giving, isn't it? Like,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
You want to explain that a little bit? Because again, I don't know enough about it, but I find it fascinating. I
This is
love
so
animals to start with. So
this is so wonderful and so beautiful working with the horses, because, for example, this law of receiving, if we are in the vibration of giving and we give them the love and the appreciation and respect and trust, that's exactly what's coming back. Because then the horse shows us, okay, you are in a good vibration. I want to work with you. I want to be with you. And they come nearer and they come closer. And the other side is, if someone is not in a good vibration and they get no respect and no trust and appreciation, they just go away. They say, no, I don't want to be with you. And that's so clear. That's beautiful. So people see exactly which vibration is active.
right. So it helps not only the horse enjoys it, but the person is learning how to basically change their vibration, because they want the horse nearby, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the horse goes with the person. Yeah, it's not only that they come closer. So my clients can do many things with the horses. They go on the other side and the horse follows them, for example. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go to Austria to see this, I think.
Yes, I think so too.
Or you can bring your horses here, but it might be easier for me to go there. Anyways, I was just thinking too that the horses have it right. Like, if you've got some negative people around you, then just walk away.
Yeah, we don't want to be around people with a negative vibration.
Hang around with people that have a positive vibration. I think the horses have it right. So
yeah.
Anyways, we're finished our time here, and we're wrapping up this one. We'll be back next week. Sorry, but I don't remember what the next law is that we're doing next week. Do you know?
The law of increase.
Oh, that's a good one too, right?
Yeah.
Actually, they're all good. So that's kind of silly for
Yeah, all good.
They're all good. But the law of increase is definitely a great one. Hopefully, those who are joining us will come back again next week and join us again. I want to thank everybody who has joined us, and of course, my co-host, the wonderful, the amazing, Austria's greatest, Karen Gatrinik. And we'll see you all next time. Have a good day.
Next
Good
week.
night.
Good night.